So hi, I'm Ben. I work for Numerous Networks. That is my company, and as you know, most of you know, I kind of do a lot of research in iPhone, what's going on behind the scenes in iPhone Wi-Fi, and I also am a consultant for Real Wireless, so I get to test everything I do in stadium environments as well, which is absolutely fantastic. Credit to iFixit before I get into any legal trouble, because I just thought it was a cool picture for what's going on inside Wi-Fi. All right, I have a lot to tell you because this is not just about iOS 18, it's about what's been changing recently. So a lot of the dot products get what's coming out, like so the 17.7 has what's going on in 18 in some instances. There are a few things that have changed, and I really want to tell you about because they're important to our day jobs. So latency management, some queuing changes for anybody who's interested in getting great performance on their networks. Mac rotation, the it depends bit. I'm going to go deep into roaming because I am fed up of reading that Apple note that says, it roams at neg 70. No, it's not what it does. And we've been doing some Wi-Fi 7 testing, so I have some fantastic... I had to change my slides this morning because we did so much last night. It's in here. And I'm going to tell you, if I have time, how to become a pro debugger of your own iPhones. Oh yeah, there's a little bit of intelligence in this. Okay, so just very quickly, I'm going to do the queues bit really quick. You can go back and watch the video because I want to leave time for everything else that I think we were doing in here, right? So one of the things that's absolutely fantastic is, okay, WMM queues have been around for ages. The beginning of Wi-Fi. There is a lot going on about were the queue values that were put in place 20 years ago, are they right today? That is a discussion, and we'll talk about that. But what's great is in the latest releases is we can get these values out in real time, which means we can draw pretty pictures. And we can actually see queue buffers and latencies as you walk around in real time. So if you want to see how your video call or your WhatsApp call or whatever's being handled, it's absolutely easy to do. So I've seen it where you can start a WhatsApp call. In some networks, it's prioritized as voice. Some networks, it's prioritized as video. And we can actually see what's going on in that network. If it's not your network, doing it from the client device might be the only way you can do it. And you can see where prioritization happens. You can see the impacts of disruption, so latency spikes going on as you're changing band and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's pretty cool. There's a new thing. If you ever put your iPhone in developer mode, you can hit a little switch called L4S. L4S, low latency, low loss, scalable throughput. It's about better queue management. I'm not going to dwell here. Go back and look at it. What I think is absolutely fantastic is you can turn this on, and if you are using Quick Protocol or if you are building an app, you can actually put it with L4S. What I love is that the congestion control app algorithm is called Prague. So I'm just going to put that there so you can see it later. Have a look. It's fantastic read if you like that kind of stuff. I did a webinar recently with a company called Exentis. They are a Belgian company that do some testing and have started. This is the beginning of the journey. And there's also a great white paper from Cable Labs about what's Wi-Fi 7 really doing to latency? Is it gonna help? Is it bandwidth, latency? So as you can see, a few tests there. Exentis are great. They've got this kind of byte blower test rig that fires data through a network. They've got a test house, and they can move to different positions, and they can test all the performance. So here's where they've congested UDP flow by putting TCP on top of it, and you can see that without L4S, you get your congestion going up as you merge the flows, and with L4S, you get the separate queuing, so it goes through. So that's it, really. And if you were to look in the logs of your iPhone, anytime you see a quick connection, so using any sort of Google product or Google browser, whatever, you can see ECN states and L4S and all that kind of stuff going on. So if you're into that kind of thing, go check it out. That has changed. It is actually in some of the earlier dot products, 17.7. But it's coming through. It's in developer. It's the way Apple want you to use it. Generally speaking, if you're building an app, use their APIs. Don't try and do networking yourself. Don't do sockets yourself, because this stuff is handled for you. Back privacy. Okay, so When you're connecting to a new network, what happens? Oh, you are likely to get a private address. Well, it depends. Because actually, if you come up during the setup assistant, you got a brand new phone and you turned it on and it goes, oh, should we connect you to a network? It's just to get you all going and set it up and transfer your iCloud. Actually first uses a hardware Mac, and then it treats it as a previously known network. So what does all that mean? Well, first of all, let's get back to basics. We've got some terminology changes. We used to have device mode and private Wi-Fi address. Now we've got off, fixed, and rotating. So I think we all know that. It's not new news. It was a bit of a, ooh, look, everything's rotating. Rotating is basically when periodically it will change your private MAC address. So some new terminology, off, fixed, and rotating. And according to the Apple documents, if you forget the network and you forget it for more than 24 hours, you're on a new game, right? So start again, whether you'll get a new private fixed address or it'll rotate or whatever. It is fixed by default when you join a secure network, WPA2, WPA3, and it will rotate if you join something open. So you go to somewhere with captive portal and you come back 2 weeks later and they don't know it's you coming back. Great. Who here connected to the open roaming? I want you to check, not while I'm talking, please. I want you to check. I got rotating. Now, that's not insecure. I looked. This was unexpected that I got rotating on an EAP network. I looked in the log, right? That is certified secure, for sure. So the Apple documents are great, but sometimes we just have to look a little bit deeper, right? It could, I don't know why I didn't have time to look at it. It could be because I actually used the Cisco Open Roaming application to get on this network. I didn't get the profiles that Keith sent out and so on. Did it a different way. Maybe that's caused it. Please tell me what you've all got after this. Cool, all right, doing okay. Roaming. I'm going to go a bit slower now. Okay, so we've looked at this. The tools look at this. They need to know this. Has roaming changed? Okay, so we did have some little excitement earlier when iOS 18 betas were out. Oh, the roaming triggers have changed. Well, the Apple notes still say that you need, there's two things really. There's a trigger value and then there's a delta value, so that you need, in order to roam, something must be 8 dB stronger if it's passing data, if the device is passing data, or 12 dB stronger. It's not. But actually, they do subtly hint at quantity of associated clients, channel utilization. So they're basically saying, yeah, it's got to be better, but we're looking at a few other things. We're not going to really tell you, okay? It's just a few bits and pieces. But ultimately, this is what you need to know, right? iPhone 5S or later, neg 70, and then 8 or 12, depending on your data, and you will roam. Of course you will. It possibly did roam at a different value in some early betas. But the other thing I want you to know is this is an oversimplification, and you're going to learn why. Okay? Is all roaming at low RSSI? When I roam from 2.4 and I get closer to the AP and my device goes, I can do better, is that going to be at neg 70? No. It's going to be at neg 40 or 50 when it's getting better. Let's look at some logs. These are in the Apple logs, okay? So here are the triggers, and here are the deltas. Now that is not just neg 70. That is changing. Neg 75, neg 10. That's when it wants to roam up. It's like on 2.4, I'm on 2.4, I've got a neg 50. But there's a 5 or a 6, I can do better. So let's start doing this thing now. I'll just set a stupid value, okay? This has actually always been the case. So I've seen trigger values between neg 70 to 80 at the low end, and I've seen trigger values of neg 10. That's not possible. That's just an arbitrary value to get it to do stuff, all right? And deltas, they're not just 8 or 12. I've seen 30. Okay, so there's stuff going on. Let's have a look at what the delta means, right? To move to an AP with a higher RSSI, there's a delta to manage hysteresis, right? Hysteresis is when you get ping pong, when things flicking all over the place. Something has to be considerably better and stable for some period of time for me to make a change. Okay, but remember this: channel utilization, quantity, clients, all that kind of stuff. So there is a concept in iOS devices called RSSI boost. This is not just in RSSI, it's also in Android devices. I'm not going to talk about them, but it's there. So you get your RSSI value, you add in your channel information, which translates into a boost in whatever algorithmic form that happens, and you get a boosted value for RSSI. If I look at some real-world measurements, this is where the trigger value was -10, and I needed a 20 dB improvement. And actually what happened is if you looked at the utilization and you looked at the rate and whatever, it was the data rate of the impending connection that actually allowed it to boost more than anything else. That would seem to be the most influential parameter. I'm not saying I know the algorithm, just saying that's what seems to be most influential. So here is a set of logs that show you what went on during a roam. So you get this roam reason. Number 1 just means the RSSI is low and it's hit trigger. This is 19, something's steering. Could have been a BTM, but it could have also been a choice of the client for some reason. It's unhappy. A data stall will probably cause this, right? Current signal is -50. Oh, yeah, this could be also an internal band steer, because I'm like on 2.4 and I don't want to be there. Okay, so current signal is -50. It's a good signal, but I'm not at -70, but I'm generating a roam. Because the trigger is -10, and all that means is scan me now. Need to get there. And the delta is 20. So how am I going to get to -30? If that was real RSSI, I'd never get there. So we've got our boosts coming in, and we can see that there is a potential client, a potential AP, with a measured RSSI of -53, but it's got a data rate of 172. It's the highest data rate in the pack, and therefore its boosted score is -3. So that's my candidate, and that is how roaming happens in iPhones. And now, and I haven't had time, and this could be another talk one other day, we're now starting to get neighbor reports out on KVR information, so we can actually see some of this information coming back. Just a caveat, and I'm sure you all know this, I take this out of logs. I'm not trying to reverse engineer anything. I'm just trying to make some little bit of sense of it. So there's nothing to tell me this. It's just I come to these events to kind of talk to you guys and try and figure it out. If anybody can tell me how to decode that 4-digit hex on the channel spec, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. Okay, Wi-Fi 7. That's all right, doing okay. Wi-Fi 7. Right, well, I came here having done a little bit of Wi-Fi 7 testing, and I knew I had the opportunity to do some more. So first things first, why the Apple device is not telling us today you're on Wi-Fi 7. If you open the sort of diagnostics, it's not saying this is Wi-Fi 7. It's not telling us anywhere. The shortcut, luckily, is. So we can have apps on the iPhone that use the shortcut, like the End Oversight app, which will say Wi-Fi 7. It needs an update, and that will come out shortly. So you can use helper apps to tell if you're on actually a Wi-Fi 7. And then the logs, right? So here it is. This is the MLO that we've all been looking at, and this is it in the actual logs of an iPhone. So we can see that I'm connecting to a Wi-Fi 7 MLO AP. I can see how many links it's offering me. I can see my peer link addresses, my local link addresses, the MLD. And what you get now, periodically, are the stats. So for each link, what's the channel, how many packets are going across it, what's the RSSI of that link, failures, retries, good stuff. Right, so, interesting things that we're learning. Please don't take this as, I know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to decipher what I've seen, and I think having had a few conversations, is about right. Interesting things that with 5 and 6 gigs in the MLO, the iPhone is not reading the signal of the beacons of both of them. So it doesn't appear at this moment in time, and this is software and this could change, to be able to listen on both 5 and 6 and understand the relative signal strengths. Now, Sean mentioned earlier, couldn't get it in Roam 5 and 6. He talked about bandwidth. I think you're probably right. I've got some data to probably prove that. But also, I don't think they're listening well enough to know when something's better than something else when you're going between 5 and 6. So I'm getting these null and -1 values, which just mean nothing, really. Once again, when I've got logs like that, I can plot it. So the little circles tell me which of the links is being classified as preferred by the iPhone. It gives me that flag. It says, these are all your links. This is the preferred one. So here you can see orange is 5 gigs network, and then 5 gigs link, and then it moves to a 2 gigs link, and it roams across. And interesting, and as you'll see as a bit of a theme for the day, it's not very keen to get back to something good. It kind of makes a change, and it's a little bit kind of like, I made a change, I'm not going to make another one too soon. In the very, very first, when I first picked up my iPhone 16, it was flicking about loads. So you can see as the dot releases have been coming out, things have been changing, they've been learning. I'm sure there's loads of telemetry coming back out of all of our iPhone 16 products to teach Apple what to change. Here's a video. So I'm going to start it, but I'm going to fast forward. So I'm at home. I've got a Ubiquiti U7 Pro. It's on MLO. This is Wi-Fi Explorer Pro. So the interesting thing is the utilization values. So that they're both set to 20 megs to try and take away any band kind of preferencing from bandwidth. So you can see that I'm on, I'm going to fast forward. So I'm on the 5 gigs network, and you can see that the utilization there, I don't know if you can see it actually, but it's up. It's like 19 or 17% and so on. And the 2.4 is doing nothing. And then as I move across in time, where does it happen? There. So actually, I'll just come back a bit. So you can see it moving across. You can see how the buffers have got gaps in them and so on as it gets down to quite low values. And now the utilization is in the 2.4 band. It didn't do both together as far as I could see. This was using a Clarity from Ossium, so it was fairly good. Now, I've been working, and I promised when we put this in that I would work with Kjetil and his mega analyzer, and we have done that. That is in this presentation. We've yet to come. So this is it. So since arriving here a few days ago, I've been able to do a lot more testing. So this is the testing Kjetil and I have done on Aruba AP735. We set up 3-band MLO, and you can see what happened, and this is really interesting, is we did what's basically called a range versus rate test. You walk away from the AP and you see it should sort of change bands, and the 6 gigs should drop off, and it should prefer 5 or 2.4. In this case, and I don't know, I guess it was the way we had the AP set up. We were just in a room, we had it on a table. It was on 6 gigs link, green, and then it kind of drops down, and then it hangs there, and it's at less than -80 for ages and ages and ages, and you can see my queues starting to get gaps and the latency spiking up, because even though I'm on an MLO network, I'm still hanging. I haven't made a change, and all of my queues are stopping, and my latency's coming up. And eventually, I get a band change 6 to 5. If you look at the detailed examination, you can see at neg72, you can see the initial roams starting to happen, and it says network found but filtered out by score logic. Score logic is the delta didn't meet the boost. There was nothing boosted sufficiently above that delta I have told you about. It is trying to use, as far as I can tell, caveat, it's trying to use exactly the same roaming logic in MLO roaming than it does without it, as far as I can tell. I'm hoping that I'm potentially wrong, or it's just a software change and that will change. you see eventually at neg 82 it loses beacons on 6, and that then causes a roam. So nothing, the delta, oh yeah, that was the other thing. I was actually passing traffic. I had a WhatsApp call running, but it still had the delta set to 12. Like, why? That's not what it says in the Apple Note. All bands have weak RSSI, nothing got boosted. So this is what we were talking about. And if you look at what happened on Kjetil's megaspectrum analyzer, so that's the Aronia analyzer, interestingly in the spectrum, it's over on the on the 6 gigs, doing sort of very, very coarsely accessing the channel, not very continuous on the channel because the channel's super weak, it's neg 80. Then it jumps over here at the time when I get the first 5 gigs measurement. So there was no measurement. This flat line means I had no data. And then all of a sudden I get a measurement when it's hopped onto that channel. Then it goes away and waits about 4 seconds. No, 0.04 seconds. And then it comes back. No, 4 seconds. Comes back and then eventually uses the channel. That's just not ready for prime time, in my opinion. I don't really understand it. I just wanted to kind of let you guys see this. It was just captured, and what does that mean? Was that a video? No. So the recap is we've done lots and lots of testing. We've been able to make it change bands. You can see error rates, TX rates, congestion rates all going up, latencies going up. But the roaming decisions are quite dynamic, and in roaming in Wi-Fi 7 still seems to be very much using the logic that the rest of roaming uses. Then last night we did this. Now, I am privileged to be here with just my tool that all it's doing is looking at what the iPhone's doing, and then these people come and surround me and go, but we know all about this, and we can tell you why all that stuff's happening, right? So we were able to repeat the test where we did range versus rate. We were walking away. We got it to change from 6 to 5. It was a bit of a messy change, as we saw before, and we had Fune and everybody there with packet captures doing their thing, and I've asked for some feedback. And also there we've got the rates from the packet capture as well. So moving from 6 to 5, 6 in pink and 5 in brown. So Dr. Srikant has looked at this for me, and this is the ultimate kind of what's come out of my iPhone. There was my MLD. It says that it supports 2 simultaneous links. We did not see that. That was not in those spectrums that I showed you. And it's not what the iPhone has showed us in the logs. It also says it performs NSTR. According to Dr. Srikant, please talk to him. There's no news about any AP support in this or any WFA tests. So why it's saying that, we don't know. And Renzo, thank you very much for your analysis. We were thinking maybe it's the power safe bit. Maybe there's something to do with power saving or something like that. That wasn't set either. I don't know, beyond me. I'd love to find out, but this is the kind of information that I think you come to a place like this and people start saying this stuff to you and you go away with more work than you came with. Okay, so we did another test. So this is the test we did, actually, yeah. So this is the test we did last night. And here we are walking away on 6 gigs. What's interesting is I'm walking away on 6 gigs, and then it drops. It's not measuring 5, and then eventually, just around this point in time, it measures 5, it switches to it, stops measuring 6, and I walk back into the room, and now I'm standing right next to the AP. But it's not measuring 6. It's not giving, at least in the logs, maybe it's just a software bug, it's not giving information on that. It doesn't know it can change. So it's hanging there on 5. If you look at my data rates, I was getting over 2 gigabits per second when I was next to the AP when I started, but having walked out the room and walked back in at this point in time, I'm getting less than half a gig. And I'm in exactly the same location. Eventually, on its own accord, somebody sneezed and it changed back to 6 gigs. So that was fun. There are still things to be observed. We really wanted to do preamble puncturing. We wanted to see OFDMA and Wi-Fi 7. I can't tell you whether we've seen this, but we saw this. This is the iPhone's connection to the 735. Look at the bandwidth. Just watch it for a minute. It's going down to 40 and 20. Can't tell you. I would love to open that up to this room, but the iPhone seemed to change its bandwidth and just actually use smaller sections of the channel. Whether it was puncturing or doing OFDMA or it's just some odd phenomenon that's actually not real, I have no idea. But honestly, this is what happened. And it did this as we walked away and the signal got weaker, and then you can see it back using the full band again as we get back closer again. No idea. Somebody, please tell us. 3 minutes. Right, good. So I've got 3 minutes to tell you a little bit about how you can become someone who can debug your own iPhone. Okay, so there are new debug files that will help you see some of this stuff. You can dive into logs. I tried to create a tool that helps. It's hard for me to keep up, but there will be a new update out very soon that has a lot of this stuff in it. If you are going and you're interested in getting deep like this, I advise you get yourself on a developer beta, because the logs are a little cleaner. Apple, as of iOS 17, did a lot more redaction in their logs, so you'll get, I am connected to BSSID 00000. If you want to know what it is, put the debug profile on from the Apple developer site and run a developer beta software version, right? So that, a couple of things to do. An oversight will be updated, so you'll get these kind of things I've been showing. It'll come out soon. By coming here, I thought I was ready. I found out a load of stuff. I am not ready, so give me time. I will get you the tool. There'll be updates to maps and things, so you can walk around and you can heat map, and you'll be able to see exactly how your MLF links are working in heat maps and all that kind of stuff. And if I've had a lot of requests for internal heat mapping and drawing dots on plans and so on, so hopefully that will come too. For yourselves, in the interim, unlock the sysdiagnose, so you can either press 3 buttons and make an emergency call, and hopefully you'll get hopefully you get sysdiagnose. There's a better way, and that's to use the assistive touch. So you can follow these steps. I'm sure you can take a picture, or you can come back and watch the video. If you download the N-Oversight app on the iPhone, it actually has a guide in there for helping you do this. Get the sysdiagnose. It's a tar GZ. Open it, and in the Wi-Fi folder, here's the hottest tips. There is a file called analytics store dump. It's zipped, or it's tarred. Untar it and get the text. And inside, you will see all of the session changes, all of the joins, all of the reasons why things were bad, all of the reasons why things were good, and you'll see it in some chronological order. Use a high-resolution monitor that you can spread it this wide so it doesn't wrap, and you'll see everything, okay? Some new files that have appeared in iOS 18 are these entity files. Get these entity files, unzip them, look at them. There is a bunch of stuff in there that's really cool. In the analytics store dump, you'll see things like these fault reasons, slow Wi-Fi DNS, data paths. So, why did somebody have a problem in the enterprise? They come to you, whatever. Why did they have a problem? And you can open it up and go, oh, yeah, 1632, data path stall. Right, so the data rates dropped, and the iPhone wasn't happy, and it was looking to do something to make it better. You'll get lots of link tests as well in terms of RTTs and packet loss and all that kind of stuff, so that's really great. And I think one of the nicest entities, some of these entities are empty, and in the nicest one, though, is the Wi-Fi stat, and you can see all of the QBSS stuff, you can see number of clients associated, you can see all of the airtime utilizations, all the bytes used on the different WMM queues, and so on. And that is it. My loyal followers have been asking me for my codes. There's a bit of a thing. There they are. Go for it. I said I wouldn't do it on the mobile. I have done it on the mobile. So anybody looking to renew, get it quick. Thank you.